text says, I think Rishi Sunak came out more genuine and honest with his answers. I've been very impressed with the things he's implemented and the promises to achieve and deliver them. Keir Starmer, on the other hand, you can't trust him. He lacks substance with no plans. Rishi Sunak is the better leader in every sense. Sean, though, says tonight was the night Sunak lost it. It's over for the Tories and about time too. That from Sean in Birmingham. Similar message here from John on WhatsApp, who says, I am with Keir 100%. It will be so refreshing and good for our country to have somebody moderate and sane in power again. And Rachel, I suspect, speaks for the entire country. Rachel says simply this: I never want to hear the words plan, deliver and clear ever again. Rachel, I hear you. Come back to your calls on that in just a moment. Let's first hear what the polls made of tonight's debate. It was, I think, the best format we've seen so far. Grilling under scrutiny from a senior political journalist, audience questions. Let's see what those watching had to say about it. Patrick English joins us, Director of Political Analytics for YouGov, with the first snap poll from tonight's event. Patrick, join us live from the spin room up there in Grimsby. What did the public think? Evening.
Good evening. Yes, live here from Grimsby. Well, just very quickly to go on your point about it being the best format. When we asked the public to describe the debate with the sort of head-to-head last week in one word, they picked 62% said frustrating. But tonight, 52% said interesting. So the public probably agree with you there. In terms of who won the debate, well, of course, last week with a different format, of course, it was very, very split. 51% said Sunak, 49% said Starmer. But tonight, a much clearer verdict. 64% of the debate watching public said that it was Keir Starmer who won. And meanwhile, only 36% said that the Prime Minister won. And perhaps most crucially, or most cutting for the Prime Minister, a third of those who voted Conservative in 2019 who watched the debate tonight said that Starmer won.
Wow. So the people who the Tories really, really need to be counting on and winning back weren't impressed by what they saw tonight from the Tory party leader.
That's exactly it, yes. This is the voter coalition that propelled Boris Johnson to power, with seats for every single day of the year in 2019. It is breaking apart in front of our very eyes. We see it in the voter intention polling, and we're seeing it tonight as well in the snap debate polling.
What's your sense, Patrick? I don't know if you asked this question, but what's your sense of why that outcome is the case? What was it that Keir Starmer did that people liked? What was it that Rishi Sunak did, perhaps, that people didn't?
Yeah, we asked a range of questions as well as that headline figure. And most tellingly, I think, is the fact that Keir Starmer led on all the characteristics that we asked about: being trustworthy, being in touch with ordinary people, even looking more prime ministerial, which for someone who isn't the Prime Minister, I think is a big win for Keir Starmer.
Huge, isn't it?
He also, exactly, it really is. And also he won on the key issues. He performed best, according to debate watching public, on the NHS, on the economy, not usually great ground for Labour, but he managed to win there, on issues facing young people. And perhaps this is the only, let's say, crumb, perhaps silver lining for the Prime Minister and the Conservatives tonight, is that the two men, according to debate watching public, were split on taxes. So the issue of taxes is something that the Conservatives and Sunak are still competing on. But for now, that looks like it, at least according to this debate poll.
So it's actually scant consolation when it comes to the Prime Minister. And Patrick, you know, there's always detailed rows about policies, what they're going to do, how much they're going to cut taxes by and so on. But I always think in these sorts of events, what matters just as much actually as what they say is how they say it, how they look, how they come across. And for me tonight, Rishi Sunak at times treated it like a sort of economic seminar or a student union debate. And Keir Starmer, he wasn't perfect by any means, but the talk about his family, the talk about his kids, he just came across as more human than he sometimes does. Is that fair?
Well, I think I think probably the debate watching public would agree with you there. And indeed, it plays into the wider narrative about this election. The reason why Labour is so far ahead in terms of vote intention polling and look, according to us at least, to be putting on perhaps a majority of around 200 seats, isn't because it's a ringing endorsement of Labour or a ringing endorsement of Keir Starmer, as you said, not perfect tonight, but relatively, compared to the Prime Minister, compared to the Conservative Party, compared to the government, their ratings and their approval are simply much, much better. And I think we saw that out in play tonight.
Patrick, thank you very much for coming on. Patrick English, Director of Political Analytics for YouGov, with the first snap poll on tonight's event. Fascinated in what you made of it if you watched it. If you didn't, it's only one event. We're going to hear a lot more, I'm afraid, and see a lot more of these two men before the July the 5th, and we'll see a huge amount more of one of them afterwards, because, of course, one of them will be the Prime Minister of this country. Who do you feel most comfortable with being in number 10 with their feet under the Prime Ministerial desk? Rishi Sunak, who's done the job, of course, already, or Keir Starmer? Do you feel more comfortable about the idea of a new Prime Minister, or happier and more secure with the idea of the current one having another 4 or 5 years?